I would say totally and completely about 5 minutes before you die and your final incarnation. When you can move to that space and remain there more than 5 minutes, you don't need to be physical any longer.
Why am I reluctant or fearful to experience the pain that sometimes results from allowing myself to feel free, to live, to trust, to be whole? Because you're very healthy and nobody likes pain. No one rushes to pain. Of course you're reluctant. That doesn't mean it stops you. It doesn't mean you are a slave to that fear. It only means that when it's passed around and it comes to you, you'd rather say no thank you. There's nothing wrong with that. I would call that sanity. What is it that is blocking me from being in touch with my real self?
The image that you got as a child of what your real self really was. Go back and look in the mirror. But before you do that, remember what you were told. Because you see what you expect to see, not what's there. Your real self is marvelous. Your real self is outrageous. And there's nothing wrong with being outrageous. You were simply taught that you wouldn't do. And so when you look at yourself, either visually or introspectively, there's a part of you that says, no, that won't do. It will do. It will do. It will more than do. It's really all you have to give. Each one of you believes that if you hone and shape yourself into someone else's expectation that you are contributing more. You are not. You're contributing less. For each one of you is unique, and if you take a part of your uniqueness and yield to another, then there is less in the world, not more. Each one of you, in your completeness and in your truth, are a perfect piece of the puzzle. A perfect part of the plan of God's that has come to change all forgetting into remembering and all darkness into light. So remember what you have been told by others as to who you ought to be. And when you have firmly found that again, make the choice to begin to be who you are. For that is the greatest and only contribution you can make.
How do I stop smoking cigarettes? Can you help?
Along with cigarettes, we could pile in any addiction. For certainly, cigarettes are an addiction. How can you stop? Why? By understanding why you do it. I mean, there is a purpose, a seemingly positive purpose to everything. It quiets your nerves, gives you a sense of comfort, it gives you something to hold on to, certainly. It gives you. Now, I am not speaking intellectually. Intellectually, you know very well what it does and does not give you. But there is an emotional flavor to this, to all addiction. There is a firm belief that without your addiction, regardless of what it is, you will not be accompanied by anything. You will be alone. And addiction is a great companion, even though it is a destructive companion most of the time. And what is smoking doing to you? It is making you very unhappy. It's reinforcing your feeling of inadequacy. It's making you feel weak and foolish because you cannot stop. It's giving you something to think about. It certainly is giving you a focus. It's also giving you a false promise. What it's saying is, I'm here, and the minute you get strong enough to overcome me, your life is going to be different. That's a false promise. Oh, your life will be different. You breathe more freely. You'll be free of your addiction. That's a difference. And that's a big difference. But it's not a transformative difference. It's up to you to transform your life now. I would suggest to you this, that you set aside this struggle that you're in. There's no more discussion necessary. You've convinced yourself you ought to stop smoking. Put it aside. It is irrelevant to the purposes of your life. For now, begin to explore what it is you would rather be doing or could be doing when you're smoking a cigarette. Just ask yourself that question. What am I afraid I would be doing? What do I want to be doing? Why am I doing this? Also be aware that you need not make an anniversary date to this. You can change your life now, even while you're still smoking. So go to your images, your dreams. What will I do when I've stopped smoking, when I have stopped whatever addiction it is, and begin it now. But don't you see the power that you give addiction by making it the doorway through to something else? Ultimately, of course, there will come a moment when you will look at your cigarettes and you will say, do I really want this? And the answer will be, no, I don't. And you'll throw it away. It will be nothing more, nothing less than that, another decision. But until that time, you have built it into monstrous proportions. And that is why I say to you, set it aside. It is an addiction because you give it power that it does not have. And the moment that you take back that power, you can let it go.
Why do I find it so difficult, so hard to allow myself to be God? I know I am. Still, I often don't allow it. Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it unrecognition? Why do I stop?
Because you've forgotten something very important. You've forgotten that being God means you walking around in your physical body trying to be God.
There is a large block, empty, void, standing in the way of my ability to be touched, to feel connected, to feel close to others. I almost always feel alone and separate. Why?
Because, dear sweet angel of light, you have been hurt. And you are so afraid that if your need, your longing, becomes apparent again, that you will be defenseless. And that somehow, somewhere, someone will not treat you well. I want to say something to you. Your emotions are not your weakest point. They are your strength. Your need is not your fallibility. It is your strength. And your shyness is not predicated on the fact that you really don't belong. It is your choice because you believe somehow you are safer away. I want to offer for you an exercise. I want you to begin to experience what it is like to run into the middle of something. The moment that you have an opportunity, pile a great many pillows in the middle of a room. Go to the side of that room and let yourself remain there, going through all that you usually go through. And then at a given moment, without hesitation, spontaneously run right into the pile of pillows and jump. And say out loud or to yourself, I am here in the middle of everything. And then go back and do it again. It will take you a little while not to laugh at yourself or feel foolish. And when you become comfortable with doing it with pillows, then begin to do it with friends. Rather than staying on the outside of a group, push your way into the middle.
You don't have to have anything to say except, I'm here. And you will know how lovable you are, and how welcome you are, and what joy you can have in your life, and how safe it all is. It is habit, and it's a habit that can be quickly broken. Now remember, the middle of everything. I love that image.
What do I need to learn from this last stage of this life?
The joy of being who you are. Surrender in the most positive sense. The pleasure of having been through a great many things. And one thing more. That regardless of how long you think you've lived, there's more to be done. That every moment you inhale, you are reborn. And every time you exhale, you are pushing back into non-existence everything that has ever been. So regardless of how many years you can count that you've been alive, you are newborn every breath. And in that newbornness, you can release all expectation of what the calendar says. Are you aware that there is no reason why all of you cannot live almost forever? It is because you have been so schooled to expect that after a certain time this will happen, after a certain time that will happen. Age is a mental disease. And when you have finally accepted that at a certain age you can't any longer da-da-da-da, then you die. Why wouldn't you? There's no sense in being around. You can't be a part of the fun. I urge you to practice, all of you. We might do it now. Close your eyes again. And this time, just begin to follow your breathing. Just watch it. Begin to be comfortable in your body. Don't delay or extend your breathing. Just let it do what it wants to do. But become aware of the rhythm. The inhalation and exhalation. Just ride it. And when you are ready, when you have taken the rhythm into yourself, begin to incorporate into the inhalation a sense of going into the next moment of creation. You are breathing into something that has never existed before, and this is true. And feel the excitement and the wonder of it. And as you exhale, exhale all that you have been taught you are. All the shoulds and shouldn'ts, all the ought to's, all the no's, all the structure, all the restriction, all the bondage. So you inhale into discovery. And you exhale death. You inhale essence and you exhale obedience. You inhale glory, you exhale pain. You are not who you were a moment before. Why carry it with you? Continue as I speak. It takes great courage to move into the unknown, and that is why you carry with you such crippling devices as time and space, and age, and shoulds and shouldn'ts, because you are afraid to move into the unknown free and unfettered. But the unknown is your home. For who you are at every moment of inhalation is what you create. And you who are ill, if one moment you can forget your illness and believe in the creation of the next moment, you will be well. Memory is your illness. In the moment of creation, you are all joy, every one of you, because you are born again into infinite possibility, into absolute love. Breathe. And you who asked this question about the last part of this life, I suggest that you take up dancing. Buy yourself a wonderful wardrobe and begin to explore what else you want to do. What difference does it make if no one accepts me or understands me as I want to be? It makes a great deal of difference to you. Or it causes you to feel pain. It makes a great deal of difference to them. They miss knowing you. And that is a loss. But does it make a difference? No. But when you perceive yourself as soul living this lifetime, it makes a difference in the quality of your life. Now, I am not by this saying that you ought to do what other people want you to so that you will be accepted. I am not saying that at all. But lonely is lonely. And judgments are very unkind. What's to be done? Begin first by challenging what you believe is happening. A reality check is very important here. For I believe you misinterpret much. In the fear that you will be misunderstood, you expect and therefore you read misunderstanding. There is something else rather subtle here that I tell you, a great deal of love. To be misunderstood does not make you special. It makes you sad. And so if you want to be understood but not controlled, but understood, you must take pains to explain yourself. You will not lose self by being so understood. It will be very companionable, it will be loving, it will be sweet, it will be joyous. It will not be intrusive unless you allow it.
We have time for one more question. I think of you very often, love you, and feel that you are near. Are you?
Yes. And because that was so brief, I would like to take the liberty of saying one more thing to you, if I may, if you are not too tired. The joy of discovery of who you are is all you have come for. And it is a joy beyond the facade that you have been taught, behind the pain that you have experienced, is the memory of the light. And you each hold it. None of you have truly forgotten it. You have only put it for safekeeping back where you thought no one else could find it. And you know how that is. When you take special pains to hide something very carefully, you forget where you put it yourself. Your task now is to remember. And that's not so difficult. You can remember it every minute of every day. Every time you choose love over fear, light over darkness, or yes over no, regardless of what we may seem to be the more mature or appropriate or safe response. At that moment when you say, yes, I choose truth now, I choose love, I choose to be who I am in my essence, you have remembered where you hid it. And as adults, you will begin to recognize that the fear of the child that still lurks is no longer valid. The child remembers, and you have been living your life on an event that happened many years ago. You have been attempting to avoid the pain that you have already felt. It's not worth it. Nothing ever happens the same twice. Nothing, because you are not the same person. So if being in truth and being in love seems to bring something you didn't want it to bring, that doesn't mean that you should set it aside. It means that you need to do it more. You need more practice. And it is the safest, the only way to walk. For I will tell you something else before I let you go home to sleep. Every time you are not in your truth, somewhere you know it. And then you believe that you have done something wrong, and then you allow life to punish you. You allow it. For nothing can hurt you until you allow it. You are that powerful. So moving into truth is very safe. Stepping into the abyss of the next moment of your inhalation, allowing yourself to create wherever you need to create at that moment in your truth is the safest thing you can do. For you will be empowered by your own self-love. No one else can do that for you. That is your task as God. Thank you for coming, and bless you.